Have you ever heard that Brazil is the leading power in Latin America? Well, what if I told you that Mexico is quietly overtaking Brazil and doing it in a strategic way that is starting to make the United States nervous? In recent years, Mexico has been rising in regional influence, trade, technology, and diplomacy to such a degree that many experts are now talking about a new continental leader. But what's behind this sudden rise? And why is Washington paying close attention to it? Drop your opinion in the comments. Do you think Mexico can replace Brazil as Latin America's main power? The first clue lies in China. While the US was busy with wars in the Middle East and internal disputes, China was forging economic and infrastructure deals with strategic countries including Mexico. In 2023, Mexico surpassed China to become the United States' #1 trading partner. For the first time in decades, China was dethroned. And by who? Its southern neighbor. Leaders like Manuel Obrador and now Claudia Sheinbaum understood the game. Invest in industrialization, attract automakers and semiconductor manufacturers, and capitalize on the nearshoring trend, bringing Asian factories closer to the US border, GDP growth above 3%, declining unemployment, and the rise of industrial hubs in cities like Monterrey and Guadalajara. Meanwhile, Brazil, the historical Latin American leader, has been stuck. Internal problems, political instability, lack of international vision, and even Brazil's neutral stance on the Ukraine war have created tension with the US and Europe. Mexico, on the other hand, has positioned itself as a strategic partner to the United States not out of ideology, but out of economic and geographic convenience. Mexico has a privileged position, right next to the largest economy in the world. And let's not forget, the USMCA, the trade deal that replaced NAFTA, giving Mexico powerful commercial advantages with the US and Canada advantages Brazil simply doesn't have. Your turn to weigh in. Should Brazil get closer to the US and abandon its diplomatic neutrality? Another key factor is energy. Mexico has strategic reserves of oil and natural gas, and is now investing heavily in wind and solar energy. Claudia Sheinbaum, a scientist by training, has already announced that the country will double its clean energy capacity by 2030, as drawing in American companies eager to decarbonize their supply chains. On top of that, Mexico is investing in technology, with tax breaks and incentives for semiconductor companies and startups. Silicon Valley is literally looking south. Companies like Tesla, Intel, Samsung, and Amazon are shifting part of their production to Mexico, and that's pulling investments away from Brazil, which still suffers from poor infrastructure, bureaucratic hurdles, and a complex tax system. Now we enter the delicate part, the geopolitical tension. As US-Mexico economic ties grow stronger, Washington remains uneasy about migration at the southern border, the growing violence of drug cartels, and the fentanyl crisis. Donald Trump has already promised that if elected, he will militarize the border, cut remittances, and impose sanctions unless Mexico fully cooperates. But here's the paradox. The US now needs Mexico economically more than ever. It can no longer treat it as a junior partner, and Mexico knows this. There's a new level of interdependence between the two. Will Mexico become a problem or a solution for Washington? In parallel, Mexico is redrawing the map of Latin America, quietly but steadily. It's assuming roles that used to belong to Brazil. Through consistent diplomacy, it's strengthening ties with Central America, the Caribbean, and even emerging powers in Africa and Asia. With Brazil consumed by its domestic drama, Mexico is filling the regional leadership vacuum. Even US diplomatic visits and investment priorities have shifted to Mexico City. With the recent election of Claudia Sheinbaum, the country's first female president, Mexico is gaining global attention as a symbol of democratic transition and economic stability. Two things that are increasingly rare in Latin America. But will Brazil respond? President Lula still hopes to lead on issues like climate change, inequality, and regional integration. But he struggles to attract the same attention and investment that Mexico now enjoys. The failed attempt to launch a common currency within Mercosur fell flat. Brazilian industrial growth is stagnant, and the country remains paralyzed by ideological warfare that blocks long-term planning. Meanwhile, Mexico signs bilateral agreements, attracts green investments, expands its middle class, and repositions itself on the global map. So, has Mexico already overtaken Brazil, or is this just a temporary shift? Time will tell, but the signs are clear. US corporations are choosing Mexico. American diplomats are prioritizing Mexico. The economic indicators favor Mexico. And for now, even political stability is stronger in Mexico. Now it's your turn. Who do you think is the true Latin American power? Today, Brazil. Comment below and join the debate. If you liked this video and want more content about geopolitics in Latin America, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. And tell us in the comments if you think Brazil can bounce back and reclaim the regional leadership. Right, Brazil still leads. But if you think Mexico is taken over for good, right, Viva Mexico. See you in the next video.